Hey, welcome everybody. It is Wednesday. Wednesday. Last Wednesday before America's newest version of D-Day, for lack of a better phrase. You know how people get sensitive when people say shit today. Welcome. This is Attack on the Politicos. It is the NGST Sports Weekly political show. Yes, we are back. As always, real quick, I said that like I don't even want to say it. Remember the website. It is ndsdsports.com. You catch all of your current content. Log on to the website right now. Of course, John Doucette, busy covering ACC football, Boston College football, UMass Lowell hockey. He's getting ready to cover UMass Lowell basketball. I get lost. Boston College football. I get lost on what he's doing. He gives us the ACC baseball news and notes. Duke is the preseason favorite. Cooper Flag is the name. And supposedly he's going to take the Blue Devils back to. I don't like Duke. I don't like it when Duke basketball is good, Coach. I don't. It's just me.
I don't like Duke either.
I don't. I don't like Duke. So I hope Cooper Flag is one and done. John Doucette gives us a first good month, a good first month of hockey for UMass Lowell as the season is underway. Matthew Wilder gives us NFL Week 8 multiple dramatic finishes. Damn, what is that crazy ass NFL Sunday, Coach? Yes, it was. I can say as a Tennessee Titan fan, there was no drama. As the Titans went to Detroit to face the Lions and got their fucking asses handed to them 52-14. And it was a whole lot worse than that, Coach. It was a great first, I think, 9 to 12, 13 minutes of the game. You were like, wow, the Titans suck, but they're going to play with that. Oops, never mind. Semi Sport Base gives us 10 ways to get by during Wake Forest football bye week. All that and more in jessesports.com, where we never stop, of course, back with the crew, first and foremost. Our co-host, the lady of the house, and of course, well, Lori. Hi, Lori.
Hey, Ralph, how are you?
Well,
Hi,
Lori,
Glenn.
and the coach. Coach, what's up, Coach?
How you doing
Uh,
tonight?
First and foremost, Lori, sorry. We know you've been through the rigor, you and everybody around you, and it's a political show. We talk about left and right and public and just all this crazy shit. But when you look at what you and your neighbors and others around you, your community, people you don't know, red and blue doesn't matter. Helene really packed a punch for you guys. How are you?
I'm surviving. I think we all are. We all have a little bit of PTSD as we got a 1-2 punch with Helene, followed by Milton, which I thought I was going to lose my house. I did not. Climate change is real, folks. Climate change is real.
Yeah. Coach, how's the team?
We're doing all right. We're 3-3 right now. You know, we got a tough schedule. It's kind of weird in Connecticut how the classes work out. So it's based on population. We're kind of in a rough spot. We're right on the cusp of being a smaller school, but we end up playing a lot larger schools because of it.
So,
So
so what'd you say, Coach? You're not 0-6?
we're
Not
not.
bad, Coach. You're not 0-6. Not bad, Coach. Not. I think that's a not too bad, Coach.
Not too bad.
Not too bad. No, I don't think that I want to send this to the. I'm about to send our show to Locker Room Talk, which is a sports page, which I'm actually an admin on there, so I could. I don't think that I don't think they want me to send that there. So let me. Anyway, yeah. So hit me. I'm doing the show in pain. I'm in a world of pain, but you know what? I haven't seen the two of you in a while. I haven't heard your voices. You know, it was hard giving you your space, Lori. But I can't tell you the number of people that have seen me in pain over the years and looked at my wife, like help him, and my wife looks at them. Like sometimes they'll look at her like, holy shit, aren't you're not gonna do that? She can't do anything. And couldn't do anything for you, Laurie. We couldn't do anything for any of you out there. And it was like I said, you just don't. We know, Coach, about Mother Nature. We know what she can do, but we just don't know it until she does it to one of us.
Mm.
And I remember the floods in Nashville in 2010, the floods in Houston, but I've never been a part of a hurricane or anything like that. So I'm not even going to try to imagine
You don't
what.
you don't want to be a part of it.
No,
Nah.
no, I don't. I really don't. I won't lie. No, I don't. Welcome, everybody. It is 6 days before election days. Election day, 8 years ago, about this time. Shout out to my cousin Ruben Garcia, as he came up with the fucking idiotic idea, really stupid. He asked me, he's like, hey, put a political show. And, we always like to talk politics. Want to put a political show on the network? Well, fuck, would I put a political show on a sports network? But I mean, my cousin never understood sports. He never appreciated sports. So I could understand how he wouldn't understand how stupid that was. Didn't turn out to be that stupid, number one, because the first 3 years, the numbers were off the freaking chain. Although people kept asking me, fuck, you got a sport, the political show. And Coach and Lori showed up after several people we've had in and out. And so happy 8 years. I appreciate you, cuz. Look, current events. This is what I have to show here to start it off. Current events. I was trying to figure out how do I put topics? Listen, we're 6 days away. I was having a conversation with one of the many brain that I've been doing this obviously for years with them on social media, specifically Facebook. And I'll tell his first name is Thomas. I try to deal with Thomas, but of course, as the election gets closer, the truth continues to come out about people. People will always tell the truth about themselves. And I just told Thomas, listen, I'm not going to do this anymore, okay? It's 6 days away. Well, why? Are you getting all emotional? I told him, I'm not getting emotional. I'm tired. I'm done. I'm done until next Wednesday. How about that? I said, next Wednesday? Oh, if Trump wins, I'm just cutting some of the conversation into highlights. Trump's winning, you're not going to show up. I said, when Trump won the last time, I was right here. If he wins, I'll be right here on Wednesday. You talk all the shit you want. Or Thursday or Friday, whenever he wins, if he wins. And when Kamala wins, when she wins, you'd be here. But I told him right now, I'm done with that, because I remember starting this show 8 years ago. And the funny part about it was when we got on the air, we're talking about Trump and Hillary Clinton. And if you're honest, just a normal, honest person, you could have a lot of fucking grudges or be an asshole. But if you're honest, who the fuck thought that Donald Trump was going to beat Hillary Clinton? Come on now. Be for real. Seriously. Republicans that voted for him hoped that he would, but he wasn't going to beat Hillary Clinton. And then he did. But I wasn't worried, because I knew that was going to be the end of it. This is 4 years of this motherfucker, and that's going to be the end of that. Holy shit. It's been almost 10 years since he came down the fucking escalator, and Coach, he won't go away. No. And in 6 days, there's a chance he might never go away.
There's a chance he doesn't go away for 4 more years, but at some point he goes away. If he wins the election, we got to deal with the nonsense for 4 more years. The problem that I see with Trump is that the news is always about Donald Trump for the last 8 years. Every single day, whether it's MSNBC or CNN or those, they're always talking about Donald Trump. They're never talking about the current administration, the things that are being accomplished, the things that are actually working for America. It's always some nonsense with Donald Trump. And it it's just tiresome. It's so tiresome. I told my wife, if Kamala wins, I'll be happy. She can continue to watch the TV and follow what's going on. But if Trump wins, I may shut the TVs off for 4 years straight because, most relationships go to divorce, like when the two people are on opposite ends, like, well, one's MAGA and one's, Democrat. I'm thinking, my wife doesn't stop watching the fucking TV, even though we're on the same side. This could be bad for our marriage, because I'm out. I only read articles. I only get my news from my wife. I don't watch the TV at all when it comes to news channels or anything. It just, to me, it's just why do it to myself? It's pisses you off.
Yeah.
And you have no control. Like I told my wife, the only control you have right now was your vote. That's it. Everything else is just bitching room. It's just shit to gripe about. And I don't want my life to be like that. Honestly, I don't feel my life is going to change much if Donald Trump wins the election. I think the government is going to change. I think the focus of our agendas are going to change. But I'm still going to be retired. I'm still going to coach football. I'm still going to own bars. It doesn't change my life at all.
Coach, hold on, Coach, wait. You're missing something. First thing I need to say is we don't get this treat very much, but my right hand and the number 2 man in charge here at NGSC Sports is with us right now, John Doucette. How you doing, partner? He says last days until Tuesday night. You missed one small. Well, it might not be that small, but you missed the detail about your life there, Coach. If Trump wins, you're going to be living in hell for a couple of weeks in that house because your wife's going to be losing her fucking mind all over. Think about it.
Yeah.
One little thing. She already gets triggered on a normal day. You imagine the triggers going off the first 30 days in your house of another Trump president. By the way, we'll be right here if you need to do extra shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I may lock my den door for a month, But my morning routine is listening to her recap what she just watched on Morning Joe. And I'm we're working on football, and I'm getting this, bull rush. Where first of all, I hear her down the hall, so I already know that this is coming my way pretty soon.
Yeah.
And it does, and it comes my way, and I just have to tell her at some point, I'm like, this is not my life. I don't want my day to be like this, But
I love you. I love you, Sandra.
Yeah, she's wonderful.
I love you to death. I could. Ooh. But yeah, you're gonna have drama. So Lori, I know it's been a lot, but 6 days away. Damn, Lori, like I said, I'm on pins and needles. I ain't gonna lie about it. I can't lie.
I am too. I'm nervous as anything. I've checked out. I have totally checked out from the political scene. I did my bit with voting. I put on the TV every so often, and I can't take it for long. Like I said, I'm dealing with PTSD from having survived 2 hurricanes and a tropical storm prior to that, and I don't want to hear anymore. I'm tired of it. I'm so tired of it. But unlike Coach, I think our lives are going to change. That's the problem. I think, I got everything going for me. 63 years old. And how much different is my life going to be? I'm going to be in jail. That's what I think. I'm one of the people he's going to be targeting.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it. So,
it's something because
if you're not in jail, Lori, it's because Trump is going to be going to jail, right? Because if he loses, he's going to jail.
You got something there. You got something that I'm the opposite. I consume the shows. I watch Fox. I watch Newsmax. I watch News Nation. I watch CNN. I watch MSNBC. I Scripps News. I watch them all, and I love it. And it's true. People are gonna say, "Damn, seriously, dude." Just like I hear the same thing from people on Facebook, why you give those people all that on Facebook? Cause I love the shit. I fucking love talking to the brain dead. Let me tell you, think about it. Think about it, people. Think about it. For those happy streamers at home, streamers meaning using streaming services, how much do you pay a month for your streaming services? I don't care what you're watching on any streaming service. It is not better than what I'm having and what I'm enjoying on Facebook with the brain dead. It is just like better than any twisted nighttime soap opera you could make up. It is one of the things I wanted to touch on is, man, you know what? We're all human beings, right? We all make choices and bad, good, or whatever. And we, like Lori said, but how much is my life going to change if this one wins or that? But one of the things that will really grow, and I wonder, because we'll remain friends. We're going to talk about this 20 years from now, about looking back, how many people's minds just got, this guy literally he's inside of tens of millions of brains. He owns these people. When I first heard people saying, not people, one of my dear friends who's no longer anything even remotely of a friend anymore, says to me, she said it seriously. You know what really bothers me? No, we're just reconnecting after 35 years. You know what really bothers me, Ralph? She's really, yeah, what really bothers you? When people call Donald Trump a liar, he's not a liar. God,
What planet is she from?
look, people, I said this from the beginning, okay? Democrat, Republican, Independent, it don't. Donald Trump's a fucking asshole. He is a scumbag, bottom of the fucking barrel piece of shit, lowest life form of human being. And that has nothing to do with whether he's a Republican. And by the way, he has switched political affiliations 5 times. So whoever thinks he's a fucking Republican, that goes to show how deep he's in your fucking brain. But it is amazing what we've learned over 10 years. Do you know, here. We got a lot of statistics, right? You can go back to the economy and inflation and GDP, to the stock market, where you can, from president to president. Here's a stat we'll never see. How many fucking families broke up over this motherfucker and this and the MAGA cult? How many marriages have been torn apart? Families torn apart. French, I know because I've lost 5 friends with a combined 263 years of friendship. How?
Amazing.
How?
That is a factor. I mean, it is a factor. I know that I don't have conversations with people I used to have conversations with, simply because they're lost in the sauce. I mean, it's one thing to have an open-mindedness in division. Like I was hanging out with my cousin the other day, and he's a redneck, and it sounds like he's a Donald Trump supporter, but he's open-minded and reasonable about his positions, and though they're Republican positions, he can look beyond the positions that these MAGAs hold, and it's more of a traditional Republican position. He won't walk away from Donald Trump because that's his party, and that's kind of part of it. You got that top shelf people that they're still going to vote party even if they disagree with their candidate, and there are those out there. But a lot of people, it's just not worth talking to anymore. As soon as they say something stupid, like Donald Trump is cool, or he's macho, and this is how you're measuring this guy. He's a moron, and they won't embrace that. So why embrace them? It's not worth having that kind of controversy in your life, you know?
That's how I feel.
Right. And think about it. And I'm trying to be, for those who will see this, really fair about this. We're humans. We're Americans. One of the greatest things about America is freedom. Freedom to walk the street, to choose what store you want to go, to choose to lay on your ass in your bed, to choose to be a bum. And people are going to whatever you choose, you have the right to choose, okay? That's one of the most beautiful things here. But when you support the Republican Party, the Democratic Party, any party, and you stay true to the beliefs of your party, again, that's what being American is all about. Now, I want to say that feeling, that's what being American is all about. When you start to become party of a country, you start to become part of a bigger problem. And that, again, I'm going through a phase here. When you start becoming party of a country, I don't care which party. I'm not choosing a party. See the pins in the background, blue and red, don't matter. When you start going party over country, you start becoming a problem of a bigger part of a bigger problem. And then when you choose the head of so-called party and then turn on everyone who says something bad about him, much less gave proof or testimony. I don't even want to go there. It's okay to get mad, by the way, but no, this is how far they take it. Everyone else is wrong. Everyone else lied. Every Republican that has testified, every judge that threw out every election suit that Donald Trump instead, every person, every Republican that testified at January 6th committee, everyone in his inner circle, anyone who has supposedly told the truth is a liar. Yeah. Everyone. The only person that doesn't lie, doesn't make a mistake, is Donald Trump. It's always everybody else's fault. I just...
That's the sign that you're in a cult, you know?
And they don't, it's like they don't see it.
No, they can't.
And by the way, that's one of the things that I enjoy a lot doing on social media, is going back and forth, because I get them into this trap and I tell them something like, no, it's okay. I'm not trying to demean you or insult you. I'm supporting the fact of your total submission to Donald Trump, that he is your everything, your entire world, that he comes before your family, before anyone. Then, you got now you're talking stupid, blah, blah, blah. Then I asked them, how'd you feel about the impeachment? Fucking shams. I'm goddamn bullshit, man. Oh, really? Well, how'd you feel about the January 6th committee? Oh, that was fucking sham. It's a goddamn load of bullshit. Oh, as a matter of fact, don't even continue, because everything you're going to tell me, thank you for playing. You just proved my fucking point. So it doesn't matter. Even if the law, everybody's lying and wrong except Trump. And for me, guys, I get it. What you say with Lori, for me, I love that shit. It's so much fun.
I used to think it was until I went through a hurricane. Yeah. I don't know. Your priorities really snap into focus. But see, here's the thing. I mean, I'm really worried about a democracy. I really am. Right. And that's what it is. I mean, I got so many other worries on my head right now. Adding that to it just like fucking blows my mind. I cannot believe that there are people so gullible that they're buying his bullshit, that we're on the verge of possibly going to become Nazi Germany all over again. That's what pisses me off.
Yeah. And two men on the Trump side have spoken out in recent days because, of course, it's election time. So one of the main things that both candidates have to now concentrate on is building on policy. Speaking of policy, now, mind you, I'm trying to be respectful when I say, if you tell me that Trump talks about policy, do me a favor, shut the fuck up, okay? Because I don't want to hear that bullshit. Kamala wasn't telling us anything, right? Then she started telling us. And the more she told us, the more the brain dead kept saying, but she's not telling us anything. I love that shit. Because you like I tell people, here's the whole thread. You got 15 people getting in your ass telling you how fucking stupid you are. And then you come to me because you didn't like what I said. I'm just enjoying the fucking view. I'm just over here watching you making a fucking fool out of your fucking self. Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr. have made some statements, Coach. Musk said he's going to cut $2 trillion from the government. And Kennedy said he's going to be the head of like HHO health department.
Oh, God.
You know,
God,
Elon
protect
Musk. Go ahead, Lori. I'm sorry.
No, God help us, protect us. And I don't pray.
See, Elon Musk thinks that he can micromanage the budget and make cuts. However, there's a report out that compares the two policies between Kamala and Donald Trump in forecasting what that means to the national debt based on their policies. And it's looking like, Kamala's policies can raise the national debt anywhere between $3 and $4 trillion over her 4 years if she's elected. And Donald Trump's projection is anywhere between $8 and $9 trillion. So even if they cut $2 trillion off the budget, you're still looking at a $6-7 trillion increase in the national debt under Donald Trump. Now,
Oh, no, Coach, you're wrong because the tariffs are going to pay for that.
I was going to say, Coach, what are you talking about?
So he wants to put a 20% tariff on anything, on all U.S. imports.
Yeah.
All U.S. imports, 20% flat, okay? But 60% on anything from China. Okay, now I'm wrong in saying this, but China accounts for about 90% of the fucking imports coming into America. Okay? And this is the problem. I try to explain this to my wife, and I think she's come to understand it. Tariffs are okay as long as you have a competing American product. So if I'll use the term widget. If an American company is creating widgets and they're selling their widget for $10, and the Chinese are creating widgets and shipping them over and trying to sell them for $5, then the customer is going to buy the Chinese widget. And that doesn't help the American company. So if you add a tariff to that product so that product now sells for $12, then the American company benefits by that tariff and the customer buys the American, but
the American people benefit.
A flat rate on something when China is supplying imports that American companies aren't even creating. We're not offering those products here in the United States. If anything, those American companies are coming from China and trying to sell their goods and import it into America. So just a flat rate tariff is an asinine idea, and it gets passed on to the consumer. The consumer ends up paying for that. Whatever it is, that 60%, you think China's going to fucking eat that? No, the costs are going to go up on those products coming over from China. The American people are going to pay that. So it's kind of asinine. I think a lot of economists, even on Bloomberg, they really fucking ran him over on this tariff conversation. But the problem is he's saying it and it's appealing to people that are ignorant to basic economy standards. They don't understand the economy. They don't understand how it functions. They know the word economy talks about finance and money, but that's as far as their understanding goes. So when he says that, it sounds like a good idea. Just like, the Mexico is going to pay for the wall. That sounded like a good idea. Yeah, make Mexico pay for the wall. But it's an asinine notion to think that he can accomplish that. And I don't see a 60% tariff being a reasonable thing. And I think he's gonna cause a certain amount of inflation that is not going to be favorable to his administration. Not that it's going to hurt him in the long run. He's a one-term president, or will be a one-term president if he gets reelected. He won't be able to run for 8 years. But he's going to leave a mess behind, that's for sure.
You know what? That's the thing. You're saying one-term president. Oh, no. We're taking out the Constitution here. Don't you remember that? I mean, I think Elon Musk probably has it in his head that, let me talk Trump into taking it out that you had to be born in America to be able to run for president. And he could be president.
I'm not an alarmist when it comes to the Constitution. I think the Constitution is pretty much a fixed piece of paper, in that it is the law of the land. Some things are very clear, cut and dry. Even the Supreme Court can't get around it. So I don't see
a Project 2025. Project 2025.
2025 is really about taking control over the entities within the government, the Department of Education, Department of Homeland Security. It's all about getting their policies instilled in these aspects, more than extending the presidency or the right for the president to remain the president. I think they're looking to get ingrained deeply into the functioning of the government, and having employees all the way down the line, as far down as they can go, to go along with their policies, regardless of how it contrasts with current policy or even the law. And that's the thing about the immunity aspect, is that all these law-breaking things that they intend to do to get their way will not harm Donald Trump, as far as from his position, because they're going to be considered official acts.
And that's the thing. Isn't he going to be given absolute word on everything? Isn't that part of it? That's why I'm saying goodbye, Constitution. You may be saying you're not an alarmist, but I'm thinking in terms of, he's going to think he's king. Come on.
He's in charge of the executive or the executive branch. The legislative branch is still going to function. You're still going to have the House and the Senate making and passing laws. I don't know, other than executive orders and him taking over the entire executive branch. Like, the Justice Department runs as an independent branch of the executive branch. He wants to control that. Okay.
Yes.
That will become his Gestapo police force with the SS and stuff like that. He wants to abuse the idea of martial law and bring in the military to quell any kind of problems in the cities. So these are abuses that he's going to do. But I don't.
Yeah, they go after the enemy within, as he put it.
Right. And that's something for the enemy within to be worried about. And I think more that's, the newspapers that are against him, the media that's against him, certainly politicians that are against him, even individual states that are strongly blue. These are the kind of targets that he's going to go after. I don't think he's going to go after a simple citizen who voted against him. I don't think he has that much of a reach, and he certainly doesn't know what you voted for. So, but it is interesting. There are some crazies out there. There was that sheriff, I forget in what state, that was calling on the people to document who had Kamala Harris signs in their yard. So if Kamala wins, they know where to ship all the immigrants. There's some people out there that have gone off the deep end with how things are.
And here's my feeling. I think, we all know Trump is stupid. Let's face it. We know he is, but he's got the people like Stephen Miller. Stephen Miller's scary.
Stephen Miller is equivalent to Goebbels from Nazi Germany. He is a propagandist. Yeah. He is definitely a propagandist.
I don't trust that our democracy is going to hold. I really, truly don't. If he comes in.
Yeah, Coach, see, I now, we don't know. So that first thing, let me say, we don't know. People are talking, what if it happens? But along that premise and what you were saying, Coach, you were saying the executive branch, and the judicial, he wants to use it as his own Gestapo, obviously. But when you say the House and Senate will hold,
I don't think so.
It should. But in the scenarios we've heard, in the scenarios that we can imagine, and when you think of what it looks like Donald Trump wants, no. He wants control of all three, all of them. Now, how does he do the legislative? Now, I don't know how he pulls that.
That's just simply getting the majority, right? If he gets the majority, then he controls the Congress.
Right, but the thing is, so how do you keep it? How do you keep it from? Then there's no elections, because the only way that he'd have to win it, right? Well, what if he didn't win it? He wins the presidency and he takes the majority. How is it would he go about it? We don't know. How would he go about doing that? Those are the things that when Lori's thinking, how would he's got to come up with a plan. So if them control the House and the Senate and he wins and he wants to take over, we got to think of things like that. So how the hell does he flip it if he's going to take control?
Well, his only level of control, if the Senate and the House are in the hands of the Democrat majority, is to veto anything that they pass, and therefore it becomes an obsolete part of the government.
No, I'm talking about bypassing that, Coach. I'm talking about bypass here. I'll paint it for
That's
you.
how I feel. He's going to bypass everything.
I'll paint it for you. I'm sorry, Coach. I'll paint it for you. Donald Trump's in the White House now, president. The Democrats won the House and the Senate. I'm not going to call the name Project 2025. I'm not going to use that because I'm trying to be as realistic as possible without making stupid accusations. But in this scenario, this is what I'm saying, and I think this is where Lori's going. Donald Trump comes in and says, I'm back. I don't give a fuck that the Democrats won the House and the Senate. It's a new day. I'm taking over the judicial, the legislative, the executive, and the Democrats are going to be kicked out by the Republicans who will run everything. That's what I'm talking about, Coach. No fucking elections, not doing it the way it's supposed to be done, saying, fuck this shit, I'm taking control. Is that what you were saying, Lori?
Pretty much, yeah. That's how I see him being this time. And if you look at any of his rallies, that's exactly what he's saying he's going to do. Remember, he's going to be dictator on day one.
Now, remember, if we do bring in Project 2025, and I'm going to leave Trump out of that because I can't tie him to it. Yeah, right. I can't tie him to it. But if you just talk about Project 2025, Coach, isn't basically the foundation of one of the foundation of Project 2025 is a total takeover of the conservative movement.
That was our last show. We went through the 4 pillars.
Yeah, it is a total takeover of, but not as it can't take over Congress. That's all I'm saying. You can't take over Congress. Congress
I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
But if it's a takeover of the government. It's a takeover of the national government in that he will instill employees and administrators and heads of departments and all that stuff all across America in every aspect of American government. He will control that aspect of the government. And
every single Democrat will become an enemy from within, and he will use the military power to go after them. That's how I see it. He will do whatever the fuck he wants.
So, hey, I'm going to move on so we can keep getting excited. in more current...
I'm just making a point.
No, I love it. In more current event, I thought she was going to be quiet. I knew she was. Yeah. In more current event, leading up to the election, in the state of Virginia, there's been a voter purge shit started by Governor Young Ass or whatever the hell Youngkin. I'm sorry. Back in August, knocked out by a district judge and then the appeals court in Virginia because they have basically a standing rule 90 days before an election. Like, come on, don't do this shit. But hey, you remember the old cartoon, any of you, Mighty Mouse?
Sure.
Mighty Mouse was famous for saying what?
Here I come to save the day.
And here came the Supreme Court to save the day once again for Donald Trump. As they basically told the state of Virginia, mind you, one of the mottos of MAGA is leave it up to the states, right? But the Supreme Court said that we're higher than you. Fuck y'all. And what you said in the state, we're going to say. So the voter purge continues. Mind you, there are mindless lawsuits that have already been underway, that already started, that have already been shot down. New lawsuits every day, by the way, by the Republicans. And anybody who wants to come back at me on social media and say Democrats do it, please just show it to me. So I can come back next show and I can say, hey, somebody told me and showed me the fucking Democrats are doing the same thing. I don't see that right now. Lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit. And right now we got this shit in Pennsylvania. Oh, what did he say? 700,000. The fraud has begun. Setting the stage, Coach. Setting the stage.
Yeah, first of all, 700,000 is just his number. 2,500 is the number that they acknowledge are questionable ballots that they're going through, and not all of them have turned out to be fraudulent, and not all of them are Democratic ballots. There's plenty of Republican ballots that are considered fraudulent as well. So there's issues there. The thing is that Donald Trump's been saying that the only way that Kamala can win is through cheating from the very beginning. When she took over, he called her a cheater, the biggest cheater, and this is his MO. Why? Why does he have to worry about accusations of cheating if he's so confident that he can win outright? Because he can't win outright. Okay, what we're going to be faced with more than anything as a nightmare is going to be the amount of lawsuits and disruption that's going to go on the election day. The Republicans, they recruited over 150,000 individuals to work at the poll stations or to guard the poll stations for the integrity of the election and stuff like that. They've been given seminars for the last 4 years on how to become a disruptor and how to engage in the police when they show up at these polling stations when you've caused a disruption. And they've trained these individuals in being basically political disruptors on purpose to try to change the vote and to limit the vote and to, exclude voters. So this is their strategy. They talk about corruption on both sides. Democrats are not the ones purging the system. Democrats do gerrymandering. Okay. No different than Republicans. The Republicans are dirty about it, where the Democrats are trying to be more reasonable when they cut up the state into certain districts and stuff like that. So it is one of those things where, the nightmare is going to be, election night and the following weeks afterwards, unless Kamala can win the solid states that aren't going to give a hard time over certifying the election. As long as she can get to 270 without having to fight the states for the points that she won, there's not much Donald Trump can do other than file lawsuits over those states. She's winning in Michigan. She's winning in Wisconsin right now. And interesting about those two states, and the Supreme Court is an interesting decision that just came out about that. The RFK was trying to get off the ballot in Michigan and in Wisconsin because he knows that he's pulling from Trump voters. And so he's been trying to get off the ballot, but he missed the deadline to pull himself off the ballot. He went through the lawsuits in the two states and lost. They said it was too late. The ballots have already been printed. There's no way to retract them. And he went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court decided against him and said he has to stay on the ballot in those two states, which is a very interesting decision given their favorability of Trump. And Trump needs to undermine those states because, those two states going for Kamala, you throw Pennsylvania in the mix and she's at 270. So, and she's leading in Pennsylvania. They say she's even, but I think she's leading in Pennsylvania. The thing about the polls to watch, okay, when Kamala came out after like the third week of her campaign, she was ahead nationally anywhere between 2.6 and 2.8. Okay. And now there's been this flood of Republican pollsters, okay, posting polls that have brought those numbers down. It's not a trend and change of voter opinion. It's simply a flooding of misinformation and questionable, corrupt polling that has brought those numbers down to make it seem like it's a much closer race in some places than it actually is.
Here's something interesting I've heard. You reminded me. First and foremost, on current events, Biden said the word garbage. It was pretty clear what he meant. But you know what? He said it, and let's just go and play their game. He shouldn't have said it.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Really, Laurie? Oh, boy. All right, so let me start it this way. There was an event at Madison Square Garden earlier this week, and there was a comedian. I'm not going to say his name.
Oh, yes.
I don't remember his name. I don't care about his name.
I know what you're talking about now.
Except I'd like to tell the comedian, fuck you, white boy. Fuck you, white boy. That's what I like to tell you. Because yo soy boricua puertorriqueño, maricón. You were talking about my people.
Right.
Okay? But it's okay. Because for me, it wasn't really an insult. Because a low life like you, I expect that. And it's not your fault. It's just the way you were raised. So I really don't have a problem with that. How about that? But Biden used the word garbage. This was a fucking rally in Madison Square Garden where, by the way, Coach, I don't know if you know this. Did you know that you're white? I just wanted to make sure if you were aware of that. Okay.
Yeah,
The reason why I asked that.
I can see myself in the screen.
Okay, cool. Okay. I was gonna ask Sandra if you weren't sure. The reason why I asked is because I brought that up because in this rally at Madison Square Garden, talked about Puerto Ricans and Muslims and African Americans and minorities. But I didn't hear any jokes and people talking shit about white people. Not one time did I hear that. And so, and Trump had his chance to, well, I don't want to say denounce, just say, Jesus Christ, the guy shouldn't have said that. You know what I mean? He really shouldn't have said that. I didn't realize he was going to say that. I didn't know, but he shouldn't have said that. Of course, he didn't do that. He called it a love fest.
Yeah, they're loving him.
And then Biden says the word garbage and MAGA loses their mind. By the way, I just want to tell everybody, all you brain dead for the last, ever since Biden said that, God, y'all have just been giving me the greatest fucking time. Coach, it's ridiculous, man.
You know, and that's first of all, that's a fact. It's ridiculous. Donald Trump is the most abusive person I've ever seen as a politician. Okay. This is a man that's vile and vulgar and has called people names all through his 8-10 years in the public eye here. Okay. And Biden takes a word out of that guy's mouth. Okay. And here's the problem with the way it's been twisted. Okay. They're suggesting that Biden was talking about MAGA supporters. That's not what Biden said. Biden was talking about the comedian supporters. Okay. That's what those that think he's funny and those that thought what he said was a good thing. That's what he was referencing. When you read the transcript, I didn't see Biden's comments in video form. I read it in a transcript form on an article. But that's what he was talking about. That was the context. He wasn't necessarily putting it out there as MAGA. Although I would be fine with him calling MAGA supporters garbage.
All right. Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach.
I'm not offended.
I was going to say it. I don't have a problem with it.
I don't have a problem with it either. I call them garbage as far as I'm concerned because in my mind they are. the thing is, it's really interesting. There was another study done just a couple of years ago trying to understand the differences between right-wing philosophy people and left-wing philosophy people. And I mean extremists. I don't mean, those that are Democrats, those are Republicans, but the extremes, okay? And they found that the Republican right-wing people, or right-wing in general, because it could go all across the globe. There's plenty of right-wing wackos all across the globe, not just here in America, is that their brain functions differently, that they think and problem solve in a different way, and it doesn't invoke emotion, empathy, sympathy, any part of that in their rational decision making. Their decision making process is callous and is self-serving, and that makes sense when you look at those type of extreme people, whether it's the Others or any of those people. They think only amongst their own limited understanding of how the world works, how social existence is. We're a society, and to say that we shouldn't take care of each other, to think that one group of people is less than another group of people, that's a unique idea with people that have no sense of empathy towards their fellow human. They are above everybody else in their mind.
But wait, you're forgetting about those Christian white nationalists there. I mean, they're all about Christianity, don't you know? Come on.
Okay. Let's start with this. So was the Catholic Church when they burned people at the stake. So was the Catholic Church when they banned. The Catholic Church banned the Bible. Do you know that? You weren't allowed to read the Bible. They burned the guy at the stake for creating an English version of the Bible because they didn't want people to know what was in the Bible. They wanted to be the only authority on the Bible and define Christianity in the way that the rulers of the Catholic Church saw fit. And so that leads to why there's so many different denominations of Christianity across the globe.
John Luther, right? Isn't he the first one who was Protestant?
Yeah, Martin Luther. Yep. He created the Protestant Revolution there, and tapped the things on the door, and I forget exactly what they call them. But yeah, he started the defect against the Catholic Church, and therein lies part of it. That's Christianity. I'm sorry, that's not Christianity. Christianity to me is an individual who believes in the philosophy that Christ has been put forth in the New Testament. So if you believe
exactly, but what would Jesus do? But they don't follow it. That's the whole point. I mean, you look at these people who are the southern. Let's say, come on, we know that we're in the Bible. I'm in the Bible Belt, right? These southern people, they say they're all for Jesus and what Jesus taught and everything, and they don't. This is what I don't understand.
I have yet to meet and I've talked to people about the Bible for many years when I was at work. I've yet to meet one individual who's ever read the Bible, and that to me is astounding because I didn't read the Bible until I actually was in college. I didn't grow up in a religious household. My mother believed in God, I guess, and in Jesus, but we didn't go to church or anything like that. We certainly didn't learn anything through church teachings or anything like that. So I didn't read the Bible until I actually took a class on the Bible in college. And I found it to be a fascinating book. I really did enjoy the book, and I've read it a number of times. And so I'm pretty versed on the Bible. And so when I hear people talk about it and they want to quote scripture out of context, and they don't understand that the Bible, like one of the things that I've done over many years is I research the old languages, whether it's the Aramaic or the Chaldees or the Greek. And when you start getting into the original text languages, you come up with a very different interpretation of those types of quotes. And so when you're looking at it in an English version, you're getting it from a translation of a self-serving translation. Somebody put that context there. You can read the same passage in I don't know how many Bibles on my shelf. I have all different Bibles, and you read the same passage and it's worded so many different ways, and you
Right.
can take it from so many different, angles and stuff, that it's a scary proposition to let people try to tell you that they understand the Bible when they've never really read it and studied it in any real way. Just using the abortion as an issue, right? I was thinking about this the other day. Is like, and again, I'm against abortion. I don't believe in abortion, but that's a personal thing that would extend as far as my spouse or anybody that was having my child. That's as far as my opinion goes.
Yeah.
But it says that it was the breath of life that made Adam a living soul. And so if you're using the Bible as your context of where life begins, and in the beginning it says that it was the breath of life that made you a living soul.
Literally says it. Literally.
It is the birth of that child and the first breath that they take in this world that makes them a living soul. So you can't use the Bible and say, oh, I'm against the morality or immorality of abortion. You're not. You can't use the Bible. The Bible clearly says that. Now, I see a lot of posts.
I've seen a lot of people throw out different quotes that show that abortion was acceptable back then, whether it was within the Jewish law and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, I've seen that.
Jewish law for sure allows abortion, and that's the thing. But taking it a step beyond that, God Himself instructed the Israelites to slaughter every single person in a certain tribe, right down to the childbearing mothers. I mean, where is God worried about the life and sanctity of that child if He's instructing His chosen people to destroy and annihilate an entire population of people? So you can't use the Bible to justify your stance, and they do anyways. And they do, and again, it's a self-serving aspect. They want to use the Bible and put out quotes and not know that there's about 40 different quotes that they're not referencing that contradicts what they're saying, and that the quote they're using is out of context and not relevant to the topic.
But
so
these
things are ridiculous.
But you can use the Bible if you said the word earlier, translate it into what you want it to say.
Well, that's what they do.
And that's exactly what they do.
That's the problem with the Bible, and I have all kinds of respect for the Bible in the sense that it's a good book. It gives you an understanding of the history of the Israel nation in the Old Testament, and I like that aspect. I like to learn about King David and Saul and all how they came about. I like the philosophies that are put forward by Christ in the New Testament, or are attributed to Christ in the New Testament, but I'm not a believer that Bible is holy. And I'm not a believer that Bible is ordained by God. I don't believe that. And so to me, you're not going to sway me by throwing biblical verses out of context at me and try to make that as the authority that you're using to justify your position. It doesn't work for me.
So here we
are. It works for the GLP.
Oh, yeah. So here we are.
That's a con game. That's all that is. That's a con game. You can't embrace the parts of the Bible that make you feel good and then, disavow the ones that damn you to hell. So you have to embrace both. If you don't embrace what damns you, then you can't embrace what exalts you.
All right. So I'm trying to put this up here. I took it down, and then you made me realize, I'm going to go ahead and put this one up. The polls and the media. Look, there are so many polls about so many things in this world. There's another statistic. I wonder if somebody has that statistic. How many actual polls are done across the planet, say, on a daily basis? That number's got to be fucking astronomical, right? Yeah. So, like, a poll is a poll. A poll is a moment in time, a snapshot to a moment in time. A poll is a feel of what's going on. Again, my opinion, but why do I say that? Because Here's some truth. And Coach talked about the media earlier. Trump, 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 Trump. First of all, if you let the media like bother you, again, you're part of another problem in America. It's the fucking media. They're not going to say it the way you want it all the time. They're not going to tell the truth all the time. They're going to cut corners. They're into ratings, people. I mean,
And they're biased. They're biased. We're all biased when you come right down to it.
How did Fox become number one? It wasn't by telling you the fucking truth. It wasn't by doing honorable journalism. It wasn't by doing the right thing, Coach. It was by fucking lying and conniving and using their audience to make money and get ratings.
Yeah. The thing that you have to consider with Fox holds the higher ratings amongst all those programs, those opinion channels and stuff, simply because it's the only channel. Now, there's a few other ones out there that gain Newsmax and stuff are gained. But for many, many years, Fox was the only conservative programming. And so there was nowhere else for those conservatives to go to get fed what they were looking for. You know, they wanted that opinion that settled themselves or agreed with them, and they weren't getting that anywhere else. So you concentrate all those people into one channel, and then you have competing channels of what you'd call liberal stations. So some people are fans of the people that have CNN programs, you know. Some people are fans of the MSNBC program. Some watch NBC, ABC, CBS. So when you look at the numbers of viewership across the liberal media versus the number of viewers across the conservative media, it's far greater. There's far more liberals in this country than there are conservatives. But Fox gets the number one spot because they are centralized to have that programming, and they don't share that spot with any other mainstream channel.
Yeah. No,
but polls are interesting. Polls are interesting. Only the problem is that if you're into statistics, you're going to look at a poll and you're going to understand that statistically a poll is irrelevant. Okay. I look at the polls and I do that just to watch the trend of the poll, not necessarily the trend of the voter. And the idea of the poll is that when you're looking at the sample size, that's where it really comes down to. When you have 1 million people in a state and the sample size for the poll is 600 individuals and it's a likely votership, it's 600 likely voters. That is not a measurable size of the population to get an indicator of how that state actually sits. Now, it may be relevant to the closeness of the race. You know, it may indicate, it could be an indicator, we'll say, but it's not representative of the state's population at all. When you're talking about that small of a population in the voting, or excuse me, in the polling versus how many voters are actually in the state.
I want to know how they're polling their people now, because there's so many different forms of media.
Right. That's the other thing too.
Now,
exactly. How are they?
I mean, it used to be telephones. You know, you'd get a call, whatever. How you voting? I don't know about you guys, but I'm getting tons and tons and tons of texts.
That was going to be my question. That was going to be my question: is have you ever been polled? I've never been polled. Now, I don't answer my phone. Okay, so I if I don't know the number, I don't pick it up. That could be a pollster. I don't fucking know. Okay, but in all my years, I've never answered a call and had it been a pollster asking.
No, I've never had one either. And going by what you were saying, Coach, about the polls and like the intangibles and stuff, it to me with polls, you can use them as a metric, so to speak. You want to look at the polls and what they were during the presidential election 4 cycles ago, as opposed to what it was 3 cycles ago, the 2 cycles ago, and what it looks like now, and what the term. That stuff you can do with polls. Well, the poll said this 3 times in a row, and this is what happened when each one of them said it, and now it's saying it for the 4th time. So okay. But otherwise, a poll's a poll, man. And Coach used the number of 600. I don't give a fuck if it's a poll of 100,000 people. If that's a small little micro dot of the voting eligible voters in America. Yeah, it'd be nice to have a poll. That I would love to see a poll that's 157,000 people were polled. But every time I see a fucking poll, 1,416 voters, 2,187, 694. What the hell is that?
Yeah.
And by the way, who's doing the voting? What side
You know,
is doing it?
Well, that's it right
That's
now. A lot of
true.
Republican polling is happening. A lot of Republican organizations or conservative organizations are flooding the polls right now to bring the numbers more favorable to Donald Trump. So you lose trust at this point in the stage of how good of a source the polls are.
And the polls had Hillary Clinton winning. So, you can't, I don't think you can go by what the polls say.
When Hillary was running, and it was very interesting. It's the first time I started looking at polls when Hillary was running. She had a fucking 90% lead over Donald Trump. I mean, there's no one in America that thought that fucking Donald Trump was going to win the election.
That's what I said to open the show.
You know?
And you're right, because I remember those polls. I remember looking at some of those polls with Hillary and Trump, like, God damn, like it can't be right. Because if it was a football game, they had her up 73-0, 13 minutes into the freaking game. I was like, what do you know? What?
That's something interesting you're bringing up. Something interesting that you're bringing up, Ralph. I read an article on, I don't know, it was a financial article, and they were saying that based upon the betting right now, that however that goes with the political betting in the financial world, Trump is going to win. So I don't know what kind of bearing does that have on anything. I don't know anything about that. I know nothing about sports betting or anything like that. So obviously I know nothing about political betting.
Look how close this election supposedly is. And I'm sorry, I'm not going to speak. I'm not even going to speak for either one of you. I'm going to speak just for myself when I say this. If Kamala Harris was the Republican nominee and Donald Trump was the Democratic nominee, I, who have voted basically Democrat my whole life, I wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. I would vote for Kamala Harris. Why would I vote for Kamala Harris? Forget the. Well, you can't forget. It's just that when you look at these two, when you listen to these two, one of them is really fucking pissed off, okay? It's really pissed off, really immature. It's just bitter and angry. And understand something. Donald Trump lives for you to love him. That's basically what it boils down to. If you like him and you kiss his ass, you're good. The choice isn't that hard. Yet, the polls say it's going to be a nail biter.
It is going to be a nail biter. There's no question about it. But the problem with the nail biter idea and the problem with the voting itself is the Electoral College.
Exactly.
All right? Trump won against Hillary because the Electoral College lost the popular vote. Okay, lost the popular vote to Biden, tried to overturn the election, couldn't do it. Will probably lose the popular vote. Not probably, highly probable. Will lose the popular vote to Kamala. But it comes down to these goddamn swing states. I mean, and many people I talk to locally are like, where's the incentive to vote? Where's the incentive to vote if your vote doesn't count? And that's a legitimate concern, and especially in a blue state like this. I mean, I can stay home and not vote, and we're still going to vote for Kamala as a state. She's still going to win because we're heavily Democratic. We're not. There's no even real second when it comes to the Republicans.
Yeah. There's no threat in your state. Yeah, your state is no threat whatsoever.
Right.
No.
Just like New York. It's interesting you talk about Virginia, right? You mentioned Virginia is not gonna go for Trump. There's no way in hell Virginia's gonna go for Trump. Kamala's up like double digits against him there. The states that are concerning are the Michigan, the Wisconsin, the Pennsylvania, the North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada. These states are all in play right now. But I will say the only consolation I have is that Kamala has a easier path to win 270 than Donald Trump does. Donald Trump has to win more of those swing states than Kamala needs to win. And that's the battle that he's up against. He needs to win practically all of them in order to get to 270, where Kamala only has to win 2 of them to get to 270. So
speaking of polls, then, because I was going to save this for you guys. I had a dream. No, I'm not Martin Luther King, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But I had a dream. I had a dream that I was sitting somewhere, looked like a bar, so hopefully I was there eating because I don't drink. And it was a big screen TV. And it was election night. And I asked the guy, what time is it? He said 11:41 p.m. And I smiled. I smiled because I was looking at the screen. And the guy on the screen was repeating over and over again. We can clearly project this early that Kamala Harris will be the next president of the United States. But I was looking at the electoral count, and I don't remember the number, but it was the bar that shows red and blue. And the blue one was way up here. The red one was, so I don't know what that number was, but I was like, wow. But what I was getting at, Coach, was I had a dream. That's all. What I was getting at, Coach, was we know you're going to count the in-person voting, and then right away I already read it today. Oh, then it starts at 3:00 all over again. The 50,000 votes that have come out of nowhere for Kamala Harris and give it a victory. Shut up with that bullshit, please. But they're talking about, because you were saying it earlier, win those states that she's going to win to help her get to 270. But there's a lot of talk, number one, about states not certifying. I'm really concerned about that because, this guy has emboldened people. Look, emboldened people. By the way, Texas, congratulations to them boys out there who went to a polling place with machetes to intimidate Harris voters. Now, I just want to go back to that thing, but I wanted to say that real quick just to say this. My son knows if he was one of them boys, he would know not to come home. Because as soon as he got home, he'd never make it out again.
Yeah. The problem is that those people's parents probably sent them to the polls to do that,
In Texas, hell yeah.
This is, and why even fucking be concerned in Texas? It's not going to go blue. She's not going to win those electoral points. So who the fuck cares? How many people in Houston vote for Kamala? It's irrelevant. Just like they burned, the ballot boxes in Oregon and Washington, and I guess 3 were destroyed in one fire, and maybe a couple hundred were destroyed in the other fire. But you're talking about heavily blue states, and you're not going to impact the election with these kinds of things. But it's interesting that, like I was saying earlier, it is the Republicans and the GOP that claim to be going out for voter integrity and election integrity, and are heavily involved in undermining Americans' elections and minimizing how many people can actually get to the polls and making it as difficult as possible for people to go to the polls, and claiming that illegal voters are what is causing Democrats to win. You know, they don't get it. There's no way for an illegal voter to make an impact on the election. They came up with, I was reading an article today, I think they came up with somewhere around 475 fraudulent ballots from illegal aliens in the last election. 475. That would sway no election on any state level anywhere.
And Coach, before I forget, there was I don't know where he was from, so don't say Mexican, Rob. There was an immigrant who was being interviewed by Spanish channel TV. I believe it was Texas, if it wasn't Florida. But word was some of these people, they want to vote. They don't know the laws here. And they're like standing in line and they want to vote. And somehow they got through. And how the hell they got through, I don't know. But they got through. And again, see, all this crap that goes on. And
if it was Florida, you're right. How did they get through? In Florida, you have to present a valid state-issued picture ID, and then you have to sign on a little, a little like you do when you're signing for a credit card bill or something like that before they even hand you a ballot.
Yeah.
How is it done? How is it done in Texas? I don't understand how it's single.
Then we had to walk down the hallway to vote.
Yeah,
you had to
it's the same way. Just to comment on that, you need a state issued or some kind of valid ID in order to be able to vote. And again, that I don't have a problem with that. I understand that there's some level of difficulty for some individuals to obtain state IDs, but a voter registration ID across the United States, I'm not opposed to it. I just think you can't make it impossible for, real citizens, true citizens to get it. And that's the problem. You say you need a voter registration card, and then you make it impossible for people to get one. That's the goal.
Why don't we have that? The Republicans can't afford for everybody to have a voter registration card.
No, they don't want it.
They can't afford it. Yeah. They won't win.
They never win. They'll never win again.
They'll never win. By the way, I love that sound.
But they'd rather claim voter fraud than to have solutions on how to stop the voter fraud or stop their accusations from having any kind of meaning.
By the way, I don't do this much, but this week's Dick for Brains award goes to Jeff Bezos. Oh Lord, I tell you, I didn't want to get involved, and we don't want to appear biased or leaning. Fuck you, dude. Everybody's been doing this for freaking decades, man. You know that you want Trump to win the presidency like Musk does and you rich motherfuckers. So, wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you really think he does?
Yeah.
I mean, Trump's not after him. You really do, huh? I don't know where I stand on that issue. I haven't
for financial reasons. All right. This is somebody who does not want. Remember, Kamala wants to increase the tax rate on these companies from 20 to 28%. So you're talking about an 8% loss in revenue for someone like Bezos. Now, if you're satisfied being rich and you're okay with paying your fair share of taxes,
8% ain't shit. 28% ain't shit.
But they're not. Yeah. You have to realize when you get to that level of being a billionaire, it seems like about 90% of them are so fucking greedy and in such a competition with one another to try to get as many billions as they can in order to
I
have
got more money than you.
Right, exactly. And that's what it's about. There's only I only know like two people that are billionaires. I don't know them personally, but I know of two people that are billionaires. And Mark Cuban is one of them, okay? And Soros is the other one, that are rational, reasonable. Every single person that works for Mark Cuban is a millionaire. Every single one of them. He has made them millions of dollars. Every employee that works under him is a millionaire now. That he can attest to. And that says a lot about not only his generosity, but about the importance to him of having a sound foundation of running his company and having devoted employees who enjoy working for him and are enriched when he's enriched.
It also shows, Coach, I'm rich enough. I don't need tax breaks. Help the American people.
Right.
Us guys who have all this money, we got more. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, Warren Buffett. I should have mentioned him. He's another one that
Right.
He's been speaking for many years about paying his fair share of taxes, and if companies would pay their fair share of taxes, he's out. He has a statement out that says that if companies just simply paid their fair share of taxes, then the personal income tax on individuals would not be necessary. No individual in America would have to pay a personal income tax if the companies would just pay their fair share. He paid $50 billion in taxes this past year, $50 billion to Donald Trump's zero. So yeah, I mean, there's some people that are happy being rich and understand the social responsibility that it is to be living in a country where taxes are required in order to function our government and our military and our social security system and all these other types of programs that are out there, infrastructure. All this stuff is so important to maintaining America as a wonderful place to live. But they're not like that. There's only a few of them that are willing to pay their fair share in taxes. The rest want to pay as little as possible, and zero is a good number for them.
So I have a question for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Who do you think's going to win?
Wow.
I just finished up my cheesecake.
Honestly, I can say honestly, Lori, I don't know. I really don't know. I think it is that close. That I don't know. I think again, I feel like Kamala has the best pathway to winning, but that doesn't mean enough to suggest that I have any strength in believing she's going to win and be able to say, oh, without any kind of doubt, or at least with a little doubt. No, I see it as a 50-50 right now. No ways about it.
That doesn't make me feel good, Coach, because you're usually the one who says, well, look at what this poll is saying.
But if I told you otherwise and it didn't work out, then you'd be mad that I gave you false hope. So
give me false hope. I need it.
She has the best pathway to win.
I don't know. How in a normal world does a person like Donald Trump beat a person like Kamala Harris?
Not a normal world.
Of course, we're not in a normal world.
Right.
And the other question, the B question you could have added to that, Lori, is, and even if Harris wins, what happens next?
That's what scares me.
Well, I think that what happens next is what we've seen in the previous election when Donald Trump lost. It's massive lawsuits. The more concerning part of what their game plan is they want to slow count the election so that Donald Trump can have a lead on election night and claim victory like he did last time. And then as the victory changes, like it did with Biden, they can claim the voter fraud and rile up the voters again, saying that it was stolen. So this is their game plan. It worked for them once before to rile it up to the point where they tried to overthrow the government. Okay, this is the same game plan, same rhetoric, same language, same everything is going on. I think the only difference now is that the race is so close that he could win. He could legitimately win, and with the electoral count going his way.
Absolutely bananas, man.
It's banana in my heart. And I don't know, maybe I'm being delusional here, but I think it's Kamala. I really do. Not to say it's going to be easy. I guess I have hope and faith that the women are going to come out for the abortion issue alone. And part of me thinks, like, if you're any kind of decent human being, maybe I have too much faith in people that, even if they were Republicans, they couldn't imagine themselves, the rational ones couldn't imagine themselves voting for Trump. That's the only way
with that population, the rational Republicans, the Kissinger type styled Republicans, I think you're going to see one of two things. You're going to either see, well, you won't see it, but you'll see them vote for Kamala when they go into the election booth, quietly vote for her, and never let anyone who is otherwise on the opposite side of voting for Kamala know what they did. And the other thing is, the other part is they stay home and don't vote and choose to stay out of it, because it's somebody in their heart that votes for Trump, is a devoted Trumpy, someone who votes for party. It might as well be a MAGA person, because you're selling out the integrity of this country, the democracy of this country, for a fascist dictator, simply because you believed in all the bullshit about the other side, the liberal crazies. Now there are crazies on the liberal side of things. They're extremists. They're called progressives, and they're nuts. And the demands that they have are unreasonable. And the fact that you have to cater to some of that in order to get their support is ridiculous, because you're not going to lose the support of a progressive to Donald Trump. They're not going to go out and vote for Donald Trump. They might be mad that Kamala's not giving the rhetoric that they want to hear, to satisfy their demands. But in the same regard, they're not going to vote for Donald Trump. So she ain't losing anybody there. I would stop, as a Democrat, I would stop trying to appeal to the progressives. I think that's what drives away rational independence.
Well, that's a good point. I don't know. You think there are many people left who haven't made up their mind?
No.
Well, I'm gonna open up final thoughts. I normally don't. I'm going to go first. So, with the remarks from the comedian about Puerto Rico being garbage, I got curious. I watched, listened to, and read more Spanish news outlets, media, shows. I even listened to parts of 8 Spanish podcasts. And something, you never know who's telling the truth or not. But one of the things that got to me was, and this is answering your question, Lori, along with my final thoughts on this. And a Democratic strategist as well mentioned this, that a lot of talk, a lot of calls have been coming in to those podcasts and shows and emails of the Hispanic population, not just Puerto Ricans, of the Hispanic population that have not cast their vote, that were going to cast their vote for Trump, that are now switching to Kamala Harris. Look, I don't know. We'll never know. But my final thought is that, along with this, which is a part of my dream, we look at the polls, we can look at the polls, we know what we've said about the polls. Everybody knows what a poll is. If you live for a poll, you don't have much of a life, or you don't understand what a fucking poll is. But when you do look at these polls, and you look at the temperature in Washington in this election season, we're looking at what appears to be a tight race. What if, because here's another thing that one of these, you mentioned your cousin, coach, being reasonable. I got a couple of reasonable conservatives that I've been chit chatting with for the last 8 years on Facebook. One of them asked me a question. He said, "Hey, buddy, let me ask you a question from a Democratic side, from the blue side." He said, "Do you think Trump is throwing this away? Because from my point of view, everything he's doing just appears like he's just throwing this away." And normally you would look in past presidential elections before Trump. Of course he's throwing this shit away. You would never, in Madison Square Garden, that would have been, that's it. So what I'm getting at is this. Is it possible, because this run, remember that the Kamala Harris, the ascension of Vice President Harris to presidential nominee for the Democrats is only about 101, 102 days old. It's not, it hasn't been that damn long, people. And the momentum that she's built has been crazy. Is it possible? I'm not a prophetic guy. Did I see something in the dream? So my final thought is this. What's going to happen Tuesday? None of us know. We can give our opinion all we want or talk about who we really want to win. But what if all of this has been going on with Trump looking like he's giving it away? Because seriously, the guy's lost his fucking mind, even worse than ever. Like, being a bitch chicken, he can't debate her anywhere. You all these things together, and then this Spanish community supposedly saying, whoa. All these Republicans who have come out publicly to support Harris, publicly. We haven't talked about the ones who are going. There's going to be millions of people who go out there and cast a vote for Kamala Harris, who you thought were going to vote for Donald Trump, and they're not going to say shit. And a lot of them are going to be women. That's where I finish my final thought. I've been seeing a counselor. Never thought I'd see a fucking counselor. Are you crazy, a counselor? Man, that woman has been a godsend. One of the things she told me meant so much to me. I told her my story. She was like, holy shit. What a fucking story. She said, but amazing, Ralph. All I've learned from you in 5 sessions, and I see that the one thing that you've always held true to is who you are. I have always held true to my morals, values, my principles. I'm always going to be a good man. That's just who I am. But there's one thing that's really special to me. That is woman. Woman. I come from the womb of a woman, not a man. A woman brought me into this world. My final thought is this. I have heard many sayings about women, about a woman being scorned. You know what I want? On Tuesday night, I want you women to roar louder than you have ever roared in your fucking lives. Come out and show these crazy motherfuckers. I just read a story. Jesus Christ, 2021. This woman lays there for fucking 40 hours hemorrhaging. They can't do anything. Nothing. Because the child got a heartbeat. She died. Her husband watched her die. I'd be in prison. I'd be in prison. So my hope and prayer, my final thought is, women, without you, this is just my opinion, without you, we men, we wouldn't be shit. We wouldn't be shit. Now go out there Tuesday night and roar. Lori, final thoughts?
I can't top what you had to say, other than to say, hopefully people were listening when Michelle Obama went over this whole thing, because she did a hell of a job with her speech. And I'm hoping she touched the men, because she really was reaching out to the men about what women have to go through. And this, to me, this is my main issue with the whole, this and democracy. Women's rights and democracy. That's what we need. I don't know what's going to happen next week. I know this whole week is going to be stressful. I think after the election is going to be stressful. I talk to people and they all pretty much feel the same way, whatever side they're on, because I'm not talking sides, but I'm seeing that people are so wigged out by this whole election.
So,
We need to get back to a sense of normalcy here. In
yes.
Florida, where I'm at, we don't have that right now. We don't have that. We're trying to get back to some semblance of life here. But I will say one positive thing is I was given an information, and this goes to women. I was given information yesterday about women, GOP women, who are trying to talk to other women about the rights with abortion. So maybe the women will carry this vote. That's where I'm holding it. Maybe they will.
Hey, listen, every one of those states, coach, that put abortion rights into up for vote for the Constitution, all them righties lost, and there are more of them coming, and they're gonna lose because I can't. Final thoughts, coach.
I think when you look at it in terms of groups of people, women, of course, are strongly for Kamala versus Trump's policies. There's no question there. The interesting thing about the comments that were at the Madison Square Garden is that, for a number of people that I heard commenting on it, was that it was like a Nazi rally, and
Yes.
they were demonizing minorities and really going after that. That only satisfies the palate of the people that are already Trump supporters. And that's the thing to look at now. Trump has not gained any real voter population besides, I think, men under 30 and some level of black men. I think he went from like 14% to 17, 18% favorability with black men. And that's because you listen to their comments, is because he wrote them a check when he was president. He sent them a check, So the budge that he's had with these voters will not offset the loss of voters that he's had over his racist rhetoric, over his hatefulness, over the abortion plans, over Project 2025, all this alarmism that has been going on that the Democrats have been trying to put out there over democracy being at stake. I think that there's 70%, a poll came out the other day, that 70% of Americans believe democracy is at stake, but for many different reasons. And the reasons are so divergent, and not all of it is about Trump versus Kamala, and not all of it's about immigration. I think that where it stands, Kamala's in the best position nationally to gain the majority of the vote. I think it goes down to Trump is reaching out to states that racism is an issue. Georgia is a racist state. Arizona is a racist state. Nevada's close to being a racist state. Pennsylvania is a racist state. And I mean that in
We're all racist. Are you kidding me? The entire country is.
Let me clarify it. What I mean by that is that's the dividing line in the population. When you're looking at immigration being the topic, for example, this in Pennsylvania, they've been reading and receiving the rhetoric of the immigration being a problem, illegal immigration being a problem. This is a big deal for them, whereas it might not be a big deal in other states, even if they're a racist, so to speak. I don't think it influences their vote as much, But I think that's why Donald Trump has stayed the course of his racist rhetoric and his hate speech and all that, because it appeals to the voters in those swing states that he's trying to hold on to or even convinced to vote for him. He's not trying to win votes across America. He doesn't give a rat's ass about people in Connecticut voting for him. He knows he's going to lose. California, he knows he's going to lose. But those swing states, they've done a lot of research on what's the message that's going to work for them, and they've stuck to that message.
Well, actually, can I just add to that? You're
Absolutely.
right, but it's also around the whole country. I heard 60% of people are worried about immigration. I just heard that the other night. And that's like, wow, if you go by that, then he's going to win. You know,
Correct.
although she's got good policy. She's got good policy. Here's an issue, and this is something I wanted to add to my final thought. An issue that for me, that came up personally between a friend and I, who she went on, she's a Republican. I'm pretty sure she's going to vote for Trump. Her big thing was believing that prices are going to go down, that the economy was much better when he was president, and all this inflation is because of the Democrats. That's an issue that worries me.
Yeah. Sadly, there's no way to explain to somebody like that how the economy works, and how delayed response in an economy has a lot more to do with the policies and problems that happened in the previous administration.
Well, hold on. I was seeing a lot of posts out there that, 6 or 7 companies basically control everything, right? Right. So follow me. 6 or 7 companies control everything. Well, if they do, that means you got a lot of money, which is right up Donald Trump's alley, right? Now, for those of you who think that corporate greed has nothing to do with inflation, forgive me when I politely tell you that you're really fucking stupid, but it's okay, because it's your right to be stupid, because that's exactly what's happened. For example, just different. You got a guy here in local news. He's doing for his community, goes to different supermarkets at different prices. And there's this one supermarket. This shit is always more expensive than all the other supermarkets. Why? You think because somebody in the Biden administration called him up and said, "We want you guys to raise your price." Shut up with that bullshit. No, because the people upstairs said, if they're selling their bread for $2.99, we're going to sell ours for $3.99. Well, don't you think that's too much? I don't give a fuck. People are going to buy it anyway. That's the way it goes, okay? But here's what I'm concerned about, Coach, what I'm getting at. So what if he does have him in his back pocket when he wins and they say, okay, we can cut prices now? Far-fetched, crazy, but hey, after the last 10 years, nothing surprises me.
Yeah, prices are not anything that an administration has any control over. Inflation. Here's the problem, Lori, with people that are concerned about inflation. They don't understand that inflation is now under control. It's within the limits to allow the Fed to start reducing interest rates. Okay, inflation was as high as 9%, but inflation was a global problem. This was not an American problem.
I know.
Yeah, but nobody wants to see it that way. Nobody.
And it started because in America, it started because of Trump's policies on the pandemic that led to shutdowns across the nation, that led to layoffs, that led to backups at the ports, that led to less truck drivers across the country transporting goods and goods across the country and stuff. And that all bottlenecked and became a problem. So once the states started opening up and the economy started coming back around, people started going out to restaurants and stuff, the supply side wasn't there yet. And that raised the pricing. So, supply and demand is what really influences inflation.
It's like
I know this, but
it's like they tell these folks when it comes to inflation. So I guess Biden was responsible for inflation all over the world, right? Because it all happened at the same time, basically for the same reason, which is what Coach just laid out. Everybody had to come out of it. We, the United States, have come out of it better than any other country. But, it kills me because it's like inflation. Why did it happen? It's like nobody wants to talk about why the fuck it happened. There was a reason why gas was $2 in November of 2020. Gas was nobody was. We're in the middle of a fucking pandemic. Nobody was. Are you
Supply and
stupid?
demand. The demand went down, so the price went down.
You know what I told the guy? Get the supply and demand back to what it was in November 2020 and watch gas prices drop.
Yeah.
Watch them drop. It's that simple. I sounded smart there. But you don't have to sound smart because it's not that fucking hard, people. If you demand it, and you demand it, and you demand it, but there's no supply for it, the prices go up. I learned that shit. Hell, I forgot when I learned it. It was so long ago. I forgot when I learned it. And like November 2020, when there's no demand, and all the warehouses and everything that holds stock, all the shelves are full, right? There's just this surplus of shit, but nobody needs it. They gotta sell it. What do you think they do? They lower the prices. I don't know. This is Attack on the Politicos. It is the NDSC Sports weekly political show or intermittent political show. Remember the website, it is ndscsports.com, where you catch all of your current content. And I wanted to ask the three of you before we leave. Tuesday? Good look. I'm going to be in
Election night?
Election night.
I'm going to be in more pain Tuesday than I am now. And please don't let my wonderful demeanor fool you. I'm in a world of fucking pain this week sitting here. And when this show's over, I'm going to cry like a little baby because I wish I could have stayed with them for 3 more hours. But I'm going to be back today. But I will tell you, you guys stay up later than me. No shit, Sherlock. Trust me. Our message group proves that these guys, they don't go to fucking bed. So, Coach, what's the plan Tuesday in your house? I'm sure Sandra's gonna be in front of at least 3 TVs.
Yeah. My plan is to avoid Sandra.
Oh, come on. That's not nice.
Oh, no, trust me, it's the safe bet.
It's not, but it's the truth because look, I'm 1,000 miles away and I'm gonna on Tuesday night. How about that? And I don't live with her. Thank God, my wife, she don't have anything to do with that stuff. She doesn't give a crap. Because if she did, she'd be just as bad.
Yeah.
Just as bad. So you guys think about it. You want to hang out on Tuesday, keep an old man awake, and we'll see what's going on.
Well, we're definitely going to have to get together to discuss the results, if nothing else.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, yeah, yeah, once it's all over, yeah. I'm just afraid of what kind of show that's going to be.
Well, let me just tell you, if it's Trump who wins, Lori's going to be raving. I will be Sandra. The whole thing.
Either way, it'll be an exciting show.
This is true.
If Trump wins, we may have to demand Sandra.
Bring her on.
I tempted her to come on tonight, and she was on the edge. She said she had a lot to say, but she didn't show up. So
the girls need to speak. That's the bottom line.
I'll get her on. I'll get her on election night. There's no question I can get her on election night. She'll come on, even if it's a cameo. She'll come on. Yeah,
we'll hang out for a little while, see what the hell's going on. Yeah. I'm not going to be able to hang with you guys long.
Well, we don't have to stay all night, but we can talk about the.
No, don't worry about it. I can't. But unless you guys are just going to be, I'll be like this, and you guys keep talking.
I might need to be talking to somebody. I'll tell you, that's what happened when he won the first time. My friend was here watching it with me, and I'm all happy because all the blue states are coming in on the East Coast, and Hillary's the winner at this point, Then all of a sudden, MSNBC was what I had on. When they projected, they said Trump won. I mean, you saw all the
Listen, Ruben and I went on the air 2 days later, and we must have spent the first 3-4 minutes just staring at the screen.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I was screaming. My friend couldn't wait to leave. That's the whole point. I was out here. Fuck you all! I cannot believe. I got on Facebook.
I thought of
started
an old,
unfriending everybody.
I thought of an old Eddie Murphy joke when Eddie Murphy said, "Yeah, I was hanging out with my boy, and we were getting drunk, right? We said, fuck it, man. Let's vote for Jesse Jackson, right? He ain't gonna win. Said, let's vote for Jesse Jackson. We got up the next morning just to see what happened. I said, what? He fucking won."
Yeah.
That's how I felt. I just kept staring at the screen when I was watching CNN, and CNN can now
Oh no.
Donald John Trump will become 40. I was like,
And here's Ruben. Ruben saying, "I told you so."
yeah,
I told you so.
he did. Great show, everybody. I'll see you guys Tuesday. Love you all out there. Go vote, go vote, go vote, go vote. Whichever one you want to vote for. We're not going to tell you who to vote for. Just go vote. Thank you,
Good
gentlemen.
night.
This is Attack on the Politicos, the NDSC Sports weekly political show. We will be back, it looks like Tuesday, to hang out for a little while. And after that, well, wouldn't it be nice to hang out Tuesday and things are just going so well, we just can't get off the air. We just can't believe. Huh? That would be
nice.
Yeah. So let's put it this way. If I'm still hanging out with these two, by about 11:30 Tuesday night, there's some real shit happening. It won't be keeping me awake that long. Thank you for joining us, folks. We out.